Okay, sorry to whoever had bet that I was going to last longer than a month before I did another plant purchase. My bad. So yeah, that didn't go according to plan, did it? Hi, my name is Memo, this is my channel, Houseplantygoodness, and essentially it's a place where I like to geek out about my big passion. You might be able to see some of it behind me and in front of me today, it's tropical houseplants. So yes, that may have not gone according to plan. Is there anybody truly surprised that we are where we are today? Me personally, no. And before anybody worries about car situations that I'm having, that's still ongoing. But as I always keep saying, I've got money set aside that is exclusively for this reason, and that money is kind of sacred and sacrilege. Sacrilege? Sacrosanct. I think that's the right word. Sacrilege is an entirely different thing. And it is meant for this, basically. So, and generally because I don't tend to buy many plants over the winter months, this is the time of the year, essentially. And I probably would have done... Look at me rationalizing this. Look at me rationalizing this. I would have been buying plants from Ecuador throughout the summer, but we all know how that one went when I was planning ahead, so that might be a next year thing. But yes, there are some new plants that have come as per usual from GrowTropicals. There you go, you can see the packaging there. And some of this is quite exciting. I'm going to probably film a second video straight after this because a lot of people have been asking me about how to mount plants. Now I know there was a lot of people that came to my plant mounting workshop at Malvern, and hopefully all of your plant mounts are doing quite well. But I thought I'd show part of how it's done on a separate video. So instead of putting it onto this video as well, because this one I just want to highlight a bit more about the plants that I got, I'll do it on a secondary video, and I'll probably film it straight after this as well. So you'll get it probably the same week or the week after, basically. But yes, some interesting plants here. Not all plants. I have got one bit of substrate on here. So 2 boxes. You know when you get a package and there's 2 boxes and you're just like, how is this 2 boxes? I thought it was just going to be the one. I had to go back and look at my order and just go, I thought I ordered mainly small things, and I'm pretty sure I did, but we shall see. So let's start. This one is heavier, so I'm assuming there's some substrate in that, so I'll do that second. Let's start with this one, shall we? And I got some interesting plants this time around. I also reached the threshold because obviously, and I got sent a free plant. Interestingly, they had, I think, the same options they had last time. So it was either an Anthurium papillianum, I think that's how it's said, which I got last time, which I'm just, I don't need another one. However, let me just quickly show you that because that one's doing really, really well. Ta-tas! Isn't it pretty? And it's doing really, really, really well. I never would have guessed the texture on this, and it does not do it justice on the camera. I remember when I was editing the last video, this does not do it justice on the camera. This is such a cool plant. Such a cool plant. And it's such a shame that for a long period of time, this was always known as the other Anthurium that you cross everything with. I'm guessing there's a reason for that. It's probably something that you can cross quite easily with most things. But you know what? I think it's a beautiful plant in its own right. It shouldn't just be known as the hybridizing Anthurium. But yeah, stunning, stunning, stunning. There's a slight, because of that suedeness of this, there's a slight iridescence, and it's almost giving that kind of begonia pavonina kind of blue sheen cast thing. It is beautiful. But let me put this back and then let's continue with the unboxing. So yes, there was the same options in terms of a free plant. One was that which I already had, so I didn't necessarily want. The second one, which is what I got, I still kind of have, but this might be a different variant of it. And with the third option, I think it was a Florida green, and I'm just like, I had the Philodendron pedatum, I think, which is quite similar looking. And I also had, and I have just got rid of my Florida Ghost. And by got rid of it's the one that kept falling off the shelf. So I'm just like, I had enough, and I've had it for quite a few years now. So that has gone, but I kept a couple of the top cuttings, and I'm now currently rooting them to see if I can bring it back in a state that I like. I'm not gonna lie, with that plant, after this many years, some of the shine has worn off it, basically. So let me put away the receipts and things. And I actually thought there was gonna be less plants in this one, but actually, there's 4 in here. So as per usual, the tubes are in there, and I'm going to think about how I'm going to start. Let's start with the free plant, actually. Let's start with the free plant, which is a bit bigger than I thought it was going to be. It's not quite this size, but kind of cool. The original version of this that I had been struggling for so long, and if it was still struggling, I probably wouldn't have got this, and I probably would have gone for something like a second Anthurium or even the Florida green. But it seems to have somehow sorted itself out and is bouncing back now in the summer. So I've got high hopes. And that's only because it actively started growing in its medium that I've got it now, which is a much chunkier and airier soil mix. So I might do the same with this. Oh no, this is big. This is not a problem for most people. It's a problem for me because I don't have space, but this is beautiful. Okay, so let's have a look and let's take it off the packaging. You can kind of already see what it's gonna look like. Oh, there we go. This is a variant of the Alocasia sinuata, and I've got an Alocasia sinuata somewhere, and it's not the same. So let me bring it in so you can kind of see that leaf. So I'm doing a head test. And again, as per normal, I will put name and price and size of pot somewhere on the screen, because otherwise I'm going to forget to tell you. That's the newest leaf. That might be a bit damaged. It's not looking damaged. It might show up damaged later on, because sometimes in shipping things happen. So that's this form of it. And let me see if I can actually tell you what form it is. It is Alocasia Luciwan sinuata X alba. So I'm assuming this has got some hybridization in it. Let me show you mine. And I think mine is just a standard sinuata, because this is a bit flatter. Let me show you mine. Mine kind of looks like that, and it's much more pronounced in terms of it's slightly shiny as well. You can kind of see the ruffling on there, and I'll bring it up to the other one so you can kind of see the difference there. Hopefully that's quite visible, because to me it is quite obviously different. So yes, we shall see how this is going to grow. Interestingly, I think this is more of a dual type, and I'm wondering with this one if the cross is with a slightly more standard size Alocasia, because the stem is looking thick. It's looking very thick. So potentially, God knows where I'm going to put this. I really don't know where I'm going to put this. I actually thought it was going to be about this size, and that's a bit bigger. I know before you say anything that these plants will get bigger, and I'm going to have to deal with the space issue then, but that is a future memo problem. It's not a right now memo problem. But you know, this is first plant, and I actually have to say, for a kind of free plant or a gift plant, I'm actually kind of impressed with this. It's almost giving, and I know that one looks slightly different, and I've never owned that one, the Antoro Velvet or Antonio Velvet, I can never remember what it's called. It was one that I found interesting, but not one that I would have ever gone for. And I do like it when businesses do things like this, when they give like free gifts with purchase if you've gone over a certain amount, because sometimes the choices that you're given aren't necessarily anything that you would have necessarily chosen. And because you need to choose one, it's just like, oh, this is nice. This is unexpected. It's unexpected. I like it. I like it. I like it. Tell me what you think of this one down below in the comments. So yes, plant number 1 down. Right, and I've got the box down below, and Interestingly, one of the plants that I was going to do for the mounts, which I'm hoping I still might be able to because the pot is small. So this is exciting because, and I'll show you why. Based on the success that I've had with, I'm sorry to turn my back at you, but based on the success I've had with the blue star fern as a mounted fern, and thanks to everybody that made comments about this, even the person who I think works a lot with ferns that were just like, you need to be careful when it matures and the spores go everywhere because it's like a weed, it goes into everything. Good to know. Also good to know for everybody else that didn't see that comment. Blue star fern. So this one's doing really well, and I'm just like, there is a fern that I've tried it twice, if not 3 times. This might be an unlucky 3rd or 4th time that I'm going to try it, but sorry, I had to put that back. But this is one that I did a bit of further research again, and it is epiphytic. So maybe that is what I was doing wrong with it. So I am planning to do with this what I did with the blue star fern, and I'm really hoping I can keep this alive and happy, because this is a plant that I've been trying to grow pretty much since 2019 or 2020 in one form or another. So if I can get this to be happy, I will be very, very happy. So let's see. But every time I do unboxing, my floor is a mess and then I have to deal with it. Oh, it is so big. The pot's okay. I don't know if it will fit where I want it to fit. Maybe. Because it's going to go on the wall there, and I don't know if I've got quite as much space as this is going to need, but I'm just maybe going to have to drill the hole slightly higher on the wall. Bah. Oh, this is still as pretty as the first one of these I ever saw. I'm assuming some of you might have guessed, and you can kind of see it now to understand which one it is. Let me just take this away. So much recyclable packaging generally from GrowTropicals, not too bad. This is, and let me bring it up a bit closer so you can kind of see it. The crocodile fern. So Microsorum, I think something, is it Microsorum? Oh, look at that, Microsorum crocodilis. Very, very exciting. I think this is quite a lot. There is something about these plants, not just because of the leaf texture, but like this does grow a bit like, can you imagine this if we were like underwater? This would almost be like seaweed, right? It's giving seaweed vibes. At least it is in my head. Maybe I'm weird. But yeah, I was thinking, if I'm being honest, I was thinking it was probably going to be about this tall. Some of the smaller leaves are, and some of the bigger ones are just longer and bigger, basically, and that's fine. But exciting times with this one to grow it mounted. So it will be mounted on a wall. Do you see what I mean? That would have been my problem. If it was a bit shorter, it would definitely fit there. Some of these longer leaves might cause a bit of an issue, but I'm excited to see. I think the pot should be about the right size for me to be able to mount it in those mounting pots that I usually use, because I just find them super easy to mount in, basically. Shout out to North as well for those ones. So very, very, very cool. And as I said, much larger than I was expecting this. Has anybody else had success with the crocodile fern? Because this is a beautiful, beautiful fern. Not the easiest, I will say, to care for, which is really interesting, because if you feel it, it's not a delicate fern. It really, really, really isn't. And it's not like one of those really like dainty ferns that you're just like, oh my God, you're gonna need all of the water. This is kind of almost, it's giving bird nest fern vibes, those kind of slightly thicker, more leathery like leaves. I've never seen the oil spill or the blue oil fern or whatever it's called. That one's got very, very thick leaves. This one's not quite that, but it's definitely giving the same as the bird nest fern vibes, I think, actually. And this is actually even thicker leaved than some of my, I'm looking at my 2 staghorn ferns. This is slightly thicker than that too. And I'll show you what the back of the leaves look like. And it's probably shining a bit because there's a light behind there, but I'll show you the front, which is even shinier, just to put that into context. But actually looking at this now and knowing that it's an epiphytic fern, I want to say I'm slightly more optimistic about this being grown mounted, because I would imagine this would appreciate that kind of level of moisture rather than it being in soil. So very interesting. So yes, very excited about this one. To be honest, this is the plant that kind of motivated most of the purchase. I'm just like, I need one of these because I definitely want to try it mounted. And I want to do it now when it's still relatively warm. I mean, we're at the tail end of July. I'm still cutting it a bit fine now, but just to get it established and bedded in just before the winter would be great. So exciting times. Watch out for this in the second video, which is going to be the mounting video. This and another plant as well, actually. Okay, and moving on swiftly, shall we look at a begonia? And this is because I'm a bit worried about my begonia melanobulata. And actually, let me show you that first. Let me show you what my very large and established melanobulata has become. So this is my poor melanobulata, and it's had issues, to say the least, as a leaf comes off. Very telling. The roots should be okay, and there's a couple of leaves on here that are fine. There's another one that's got a bit of an issue on here. You can kind of see that in the corner there. But I think, again, based on what I was seeing online about this specific begonia, it needs a very light, airy soil mix. Guess what I've put it in. So it is one that I have recently just repotted just to see how it goes. The reason why I was much more laissez-faire about doing this is because of the begonia that I've got here, which isn't the melanobulata, which should be all of the hint that you need as to which one is in here. Because I also, before this had all started happening in the winter, took chunks of this that were still doing okay and put them in a prop box, and I think those have rooted out because they're getting new leaves now as well. So I do have a backup of this if all goes well. If all goes wrong, I can use that. So sad state of this, and usually the summer is when it really perks up, and then it usually kind of F's up around the winter time. So I'm hoping, since the repot, because again, as I said, the roots were completely fine and there was loads of them, so I'm hoping the chunkier soil mix will do it some favors. So let me put this back and let's see the plant. And if a certain bear paw aroid seeds this, I'm really sorry, but I'm pretty sure you've got these begonias. I'm not encouraging, I promise. But yeah, oh, it's interesting because this is the plant that I originally wanted when I got the melanobulata, and I got the melanobulata instead of. So, as it might come to no surprise to some people that have figured out which plant I was talking about, well, this, and let me put this away, is, begonias always have a bit of a hissy fit when they've been in the post, basically. This is the begonia ferox, or ferox, I don't know how you would pronounce that, but it has got a lot of bullate leaves, and that is the spiky leaves. And it's really interesting actually, because I thought they were almost identical, but actually some of these leaves are smaller than the leaves I got on my melanobulata, and these are much denser when it comes to that spikiness. And also, trigger warning for anybody with trypophobia, I'm going to show you the back of the leaves. You might want to skip to a few seconds further down, all right? That's what the back of the leaves look like, because that's these spikes are hollow on the inside. Very cool. I wasn't too fussed, and I'll show you what the newest leaves look like when they come in. Very interesting, a bit fuzzier than the melanobulata as well. But these are The reason why I wasn't too worried about getting the melanobullata instead of this is because this plant, when it's very, very juvenile, you can kind of see that that's not as juvenile, but it's still got only a smaller number of spikes. Look at the number of spikes on that leaf, which is a newer one that's coming in, which is going to be much more mature leaf. So it starts off with almost an entirely smooth begonia leaf, and then it gets the spikes. Melanobullata starts with spikes from day one. So actually there is a difference with these. This is really interesting. And part of the reason why I wanted this as well is because knowing what I know now about the melanobullata, because I think this likes similar conditions, I'm going to be potting this into, and I'm going to see, because actually I think the soil mix that this is in, it's looking kind of fine actually. But yeah, this is probably going to go into, if it isn't in a very, very chunky aroid mix, this is probably going to go in a chunky aroid mix. But yes, the memo from like 3 or 4 years ago who wanted a begonia ferox is over the moon right now. This is so pretty. So pretty. Oh, it's slightly less hairy as well. It's interesting because this is hairy the same way that the melanobullata is, but it's not as hairy on the spiky bits, if that makes sense. So the melanobullata on the spiky bits has got much more pronounced hairs. This is not quite that. But to be fair to GrowTropicals, this is shipped better than I was expecting any begonia to ship. Obviously, the proof will be in the pudding in a couple of days' time, but so far, and actually, for my own sanity, I would never buy a begonia to be shipped to me unless I'm doing that in the height of summer. Generally speaking, like these are plants that really dislike getting even the slightest bit of cold in the winter. So this is the best case scenario in terms of shipping for this. So I'm all right with this. And this was all next day shipping as well. So this did not sit in, what's it called? Distribution centers. Although I do think with GrowTropicals that they don't do that. I think the delay that you get if you don't get the faster shipping might be, I might be wrong, it's been a while since I've done regular shipping with them. I think it might just be the processing time on their side rather than the shipping. I think whenever they ship, they'll ship it so that you'll get it the next day, and they won't ship it on a Friday unless they can guarantee that you're going to get it on a Saturday. Otherwise, they'll ship on a Monday so you can get it on a Tuesday, if that makes sense. So it's not in transit for very long. I might be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that might be the case. If anybody from GrowTropicals watches this, hi, do let people know down below. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, they're very, very, very cool as a company when it comes to doing stuff like that. They know their audience as well. Like they've been dealing with like tropical plants for a while now in the UK. So yeah, this is not sponsored, by the way. It's just, I've been dealing with the company for long enough, and I kind of know the owners for many years now, since they were kind of very early beginnings of the company. So I know they're good people. So, right, let me put this down. And then another reason why I made this order, see how I'm still trying to like excuse myself from getting the order? It's very normal really, is this plant. And this is because I think I may have finally cracked it in terms of growing Aglaonema. So this is an Aglaonema. And I wanted something for a window which used to have, I don't know if you've ever got a place like this, in a place in your house where you don't see it very often, and you usually like, it's the last bit of space that you might have, but you also don't ever want to go in there, or you don't go in there that often, and you usually put your most busted plants there because you're just like, you can survive on some semi-okay light in there. But also if you die, I don't see you. It's fine. There. That's where I had my original pink princess. Which is still fine, by the way, shockingly. But this might be going there because I think I'll appreciate this a bit more, and I might go into that room a bit more now. And also, this is a variant that had my favorite fruit as a name for it, and it is, and I also quite like the colors, it's giving very similar vibes, but slightly longer leaves actually than my Apple Fantasy, I think it's called, which I've got right up there. This is the Aglaonema Guava Pink. I love a guava. So yes, this is so pretty. It's so pretty. And there is, because obviously it's an aglaonema, there's a bloom coming in, and there's 2 different growth points, and there's 2 different new leaves coming in as well, just because aglaonemas. But very, very, very cool. And this is actually going to get quite a bit of bright light. Not bright, bright light, but bright indirect light. Because ironically enough, with these highly coloured aglaonemas, so far, that's been the big thing with me that's made the biggest difference, is give it light. Do not put it in a dark area, do not put it in a medium light area, give it bright indirect light, and generally speaking, this will do well. This will do really, really well. So yeah, as I said, this is one that's going to be replacing that area there. And it's a bit of a tall window, and it was getting shaded because the Pink Princess was quite as tall as it was. This might stay a bit more compact, at least for quite a while, because aglaonemas, well, even when they grow fastish, they're still slow, which is fine. But yeah, this is very, very cool. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Because yeah, my Apple Fantasy, the leaves are slightly rounder. These are slightly pointier. So yeah, looking forward to growing this. I did remember a while back, some of my viewers kind of mentioned some really unique aglaonemas that are out on the market. And in case the same people are watching this, I've been trying to find some of those, and I think you were saying as well that it's very difficult to find them. I have not found them yet. If I do, best be believing 1 or 2 of those that caught my eyes are going to be getting purchased, because colours without histrionics and dramatics. So yes. Aglaonema, looking forward to growing this. This is going to be very cool. So actually, interestingly, I thought there was only going to be a couple of plants in that box. There's 4 plants. I don't think I ordered that many. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 plants, and there's 4 here already. So there's 2 more, and then the substrate in the other one. Oh wow, the substrate's really heavy in the other one. So that's the other one. I'm not surprised by the substrate being heavy because of what the substrate is. It will make sense in just a second. It would also make sense if you've seen a video that's coming out this week when I'm filming this. Good. Sorry, I'm also checking the time because my little doggy alarm has not gone on yet, and it's just like, oh, is it time for him to go for his afternoon walk? It isn't, which is okay. Because obviously this is the one time that I'm filming in the middle of a work day as well. So, ooh, oh, wow, this is bigger than I thought it was going to be. Oh, and it's in bloom as well. Oh, I was not expecting this. That's kind of cool. This is kind of cool. Right. It might be because this is one of the plants that they had when they were doing one of the shows recently, but I just assumed that it wouldn't be kind of a big size or a fully mature size. It really is. So, right, firstly, let me bring out the substrate. Actually, no. Ooh, it's thinner than I thought it was going to be. Very interesting. So, fine orchid bark, and it really is fine. I thought it was going to be like a medium size, but this is like the smallest orchid bark that I've ever seen. So very, very cool. It will still help me with what I need it to help me with, which is to mount one of the plants in here, which obviously is an orchid. So let me put the substrate down. And before I show you the orchid, let me oh my God, the size difference between the 2 of these. Let me put this down, and I'll do that last because I think that's a bit of a showstopper. This is a Monstera. This is even smaller than I thought it was going to be. It's hysterical. But this is one that I had seen floating around, and I've only ever seen it in an immature form, and I want to see if I can get it in a mature form, because when I looked at the mature form of this is a Monstera that looks a lot like a Monstera esqueleto when it matures. So, and I think some people have bought this like years ago. This was not cheap, if I remember correctly. For the size of it, it's not cheap. Granted, I get the reason because of the vibes that you get when it's a mature plant. But this is, and I'm sure it's cheaper now than it ever would have been, but this is a Monstera gracilis. So it doesn't look like much now, it's just the two little tiny Monstera leaves. I'm assuming this is probably a tissue culture plant actually. But this is a 6 centimeter pot for those that are interested. But even now you can kind of see the leaves are kind of giving that kind of long, thin leaf that you might get with like an epipremnum. Epipremnum, yeah. Like the pinnatum, for example. And yeah, this is very cool. It's very cool. It was very small, but I knew it was going to be small. This is going to be one that at some point tomorrow or in the next couple of days is going to go straight into its own little pot, much like my white monster and the Burley Marks flame, and it's going to get a little baby moss pole just to give it the best chance that it can in order to kind of start sizing up as quickly as possible. The reality is, am I going to see any splits or fenestrations or holes on this plant? Probably not this year, but I'm hoping maybe by next summer we'll be at the stage where it will be something a bit more impressive to look at. So yes, the little Monstera gracilis. And actually talking about the white monster that I bought last time, ta-da, that's the newest leaf, and it has sized up considerably, considering that that was a previous leaf and that is the newest leaf, so it's doing well. Renee, I know I still need to send you a picture so we can compare sizes, yeah. But I need to like find a moment. I'm getting there. And at the same time, I might as well show you the Burley Marks flame. That was the newest leaf that I got in my care when it first arrived, and this is a spanking new leaf. It's bigger. I still haven't got a split. I don't know what kind of ended up giving it. I think that's mechanical damage. I'm really hoping. This is the lovely time of the year that in here, because I have to crack the windows ever so slightly, that I get little tiny slugs. So occasionally I get some slug damage in here as well. Nothing major, nothing ever that's major, but, and touch wood. But yeah, so it's doing well. So it's doing really, really well. Whether or not it's attached to the moss pole, I don't know yet. But it's very much up against the moss pole, so we shall see. Right, are you ready for the last plant and the piece de resistance? Because I was not expecting a bloom on this one, so very exciting. It's the first time I've ever bought an orchid that already has a bloom on it. And by that I mean an orchid that is not a Phalaenopsis orchid. I mean, for context. The plant isn't quite as large as the box is. It's more sizable than I thought it was going to be. God knows where I'm going to put it, because the amount that I've got for this is not going to be big enough. But I do have an idea. For this one. Right, let's have a look. This is a bulbophyllum orchid, and I'm curious now that the bloom is here, whether or not it stinks. Because a lot of the bulbophyllum orchids, they smell a bit on the side. It's not pretty. But oh, the bloom on this is very cool, and you'll see what I mean by interesting bloom, because bulbophyllums by and large, and actually the bloom doesn't hold its own weight. So let me just put it up against the leaf so it doesn't snap whilst I try to open this. Very cool. Because most orchid blooms will not hold their weight, because a lot of the times they're growing epiphytically, they're not upright, they're like on the side of trees. So let me put this away and let me show you what it looks like. This is very cool. And they had quite a few bulbophyllums, and I did a bit of research online, and this is one that is meant to be one of the easiest ones to care for and to get to bloom as well. And I think it also does not stink. So let's bring it up. Oh, and there's a second bloom. I did not see the second spike. So this is the bulbophyllum lobii. So let me bring it in so you can kind of see the bloom. And let me hide my face behind that. I mean, look at it. Look at it. It's so cool. Does it have one of the bits? So you can see that little whisker there, potentially. There was another one that was matching on the other side, but that one might have been cut. So shall we do the sniffs test? I'm happy to tell you, it does not smell of anything. It doesn't smell of anything, but it is so stinking cool. But obviously a bulbophyllum is a bulbophyllum. They've got these kind of thick leaves, the bulbous, the pseudobulb there, which is actually quite chunky on this one. And look, there is another flower spike. I have never, truth time, I have not got to any of my bulbophyllums to bloom yet. I have high hopes for 1 or 2 of them this year, but yeah, this is a very, very cool plant. So actually it's an interesting soil mix that it's in. And I think, so basically what I've got, let me explain to you. So let me show you the bloom again, because that is very cool. And hopefully that will focus on both of us. Yes, look. Ha. This, I've got something up on the wall, which is where all my other mounts are, which is kind of a bit like a halo. And what it's meant to do is to sit around a pot, and that can also then be on the wall. And that was for my cymbidium orchid, which has since moved out into the garden because I know it appreciates a bit of a summer outside. And it's doing a lot better since then. It's going a bit bleachy, even though I've tried to kind of slowly acclimate it to like sunlight. But yeah, like it's very happy with where it is. But I've got a spare space there, which I can put this in its pot. And then when the blooms die back, I might then repot this into some form of a mount. Let me see if I can get this to be, oh, there you go. Rest it against one of the very stiff and turgid leaves. Very cool, very cool. GrowTropicals, you have outdone yourself this time. I think this might have been one of the plants that they had as a display at one of the events. The other thing that's very cool, and let me show you about this, and I don't know whether or not it's going to come up on camera. If I touch that, can you see the wobble? Can you see the wobble? Interactive plant. Sorry, this is going weird very quickly. So on that note, I think I'll start wrapping up. But yes, what did you think? Any of these take you by surprise? Any of these that you're just like, ooh, interesting, might be one for the future? Any of these that you've tried and you're just like, remember, what have you done to yourself? I know. I'm not even going to try in this video to say I'm not going to make another purchase. I will say I probably shouldn't do another purchase because, unless I do one very soon. Because I'm going away back home for a couple of weeks at the beginning of September, and it's not fair for me to buy a plant to be acclimating whilst I'm away, and the person who has to take care of all my plants is also going to be worried about a new potential plant that I've added to the collection. Don't know. Doesn't mean I might not order some plants to arrive whilst I'm back home before I get back here, so I've got something to arrive beforehand. Because listen, for people that live in warmer countries where you've got a much longer window to buy things like this and get them shipped to you without them dying in the post because it's arctically cold, to the back please. The people that are from colder nations, come to the front. We know what it's like, and I am not even going to touch on the Canada of it all because I know so many of my Canadian viewers, you all put the whinging that we do in the UK with our cold and what it means for our plant care into perspective. I know, it's so much harder for you guys. So much harder, wow. True MVPs, the people that are growing tropical plants in really cold places like Canada. I know some people that watch me are from very northern parts of Europe as well. I'm thinking the Swedens, Norways, kind of places like that. Finland as well, and I know that there's a whole different set of struggles that you will go through, and you can only grow certain type of tropical house plants at all generally in your conditions. We see you, we feel you, we understand your pain. I get it, I really do. But yes, on that cheery note, but yes, tell me which ones you thought were interesting. If you've got any that you've ordered or something that you're excited about, do let us all know down below. Love to have that conversation. So yes. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully I shall see you here soon, and I truly, truly hope that you have a great rest of your day. Thanks, bye.